So as you can see behind me, we are not at your average carp fishing venue. The guys in the office at DNA said, how do you fancy fishing a castle moat? And I was like, yeah, tell me more. Now, we are at Caerphilly Castle in South Wales. One of the DNA team members is on the committee here at the castle, and we've been very kindly given permission to do a 48-hour session. I have to say, I've never fished anywhere like this in my life. It's an unbelievable place. Now, there's one area on the lake where you are allowed to night fish. When we got here this morning, it was all rainy and misty, so fortunately there was some guys fishing, so we didn't have to set up in the rain. They've now gone, so the night fishing area is open and free for us to use. So we've camped up on, we've got the first swim on this is actually the north side where we can night fish. So the lake's divided by a channel, so you've got north side, obviously south side. I've had a look down in the south side. Now there seems to be a lot of fish in there. We can't night fish there, we can only stalk there. And at the moment there's some members down there anyway, so that might be something for later on in the trip. So I've certainly earmarked that. My plan, or what I'm hoping is going to happen, is that some of the fish are going to track down this channel through the evening, and hopefully I've got some fish in front of me through the evening and through the night. So I think the best thing I can do now is start finding some spots, looking at how I'm going to approach it, getting some rigs together and be prepared for when these fish move down. So I've just been for another walk up to that south bank, and yeah, I don't think we're getting a quick bite out of here because they're stacked up in there, but I can't do a lot about that. Like I said before, I'm just hoping that this channel to the left hand side of my swim, hopefully they push down there through the night or in the evening, and we get an opportunity. There's one or two fish in front of me, but they are isolated fish. So I think for the time being, well, first thing I've got to do is sort my rigs out because there's no leaders on here, so I'm switching over to tubing. The other thing I'm noticing, certainly the left hand side of my swim, there's a lot of weed, so I'm moving up to a size 4 hook rather than a size 6. So just, you know, if I hook one, I want to get it through the weed, so that's what I'm thinking in that respect. Ryan, the DNA guy who's helped us get on here, he says there's a grassy area which is a bit further out. He reckons that that's pretty good on a night, so I'm going to put a marker across there, see if I can find a spot, get some bait on it. While there's no fish here, I can do that without disturbing my swim. So yeah, that's about all at the moment. That's about all I can do. The key thing is waiting for some of them fish to push through into this area, so at least I can get prepared for them for when they do that. So the left hand rod in this swim's kind of obvious. The channel runs through from the left, and I'm going to try and intercept any moving fish, you know, into that channel, but that's kind of obvious how I'm going to fish that. Now, Ryan tells me that there's a grassy area across that tree line, and he reckons that they do night bites off that spot. So while there's nothing here and I'm not disturbing anything, I'm going to do my work, find a spot and get some bait on it so I don't have to disturb it if the fish do move up here. So you'll have to excuse me because I haven't fished for a while, so I don't know how good my casting's going to be. Looks about 90 yards to me. Yeah, not far off. Right, that's quite soft. Now, because this is a moat, I mean, I don't know how long it's been filled for, but I'm expecting a lot of silt. Actually, that's not bad. That's bouncing a little bit. I've got a little bit of a drop. Just see if I can find a hard patch where I can present a rig. Now, I just pulled into some weed now, so if I just clip up at that, because that was pretty good. That felt all right for a first cast. Like I say, I'm guessing that's about 90 yards. Yeah, I just pulled into some weed, so if I can find a spot just the other side of that weed, that's not a bad starting point. So that's come up at 4 foot plus my boom. Now it feels a really good spot, does that, and you know, that's quite fortunate for my second cast. That felt good when it landed and it's pulled through. But that is kind of swan territory. The last thing I want to do on it, and like a tourist attraction, is hook a swan. So I think I'm just gonna, because I'm not disturbing anything, because there's no fish across there. We've not seen anything today, and I know most of them are in the back. I'd sooner just spend a little bit more time, and if I can find that nice 5-foot bit where, you know, swans can't get to you, I'll sleep easy knowing that I'm not going to be tussling with a swan at 3 in the morning. So the day is coming to an end, and it's been a fun day, interesting day. I kind of like, 1 or 2 fish did move into that weed to the left where I said that channel was, and I kind of thought I might sneak one. The right hand rod pulled up tight, and Ollie said it was on, and it was tight and it stayed up, and I thought maybe it is. I hit it anyway. It was just a savage liner. I think maybe what's happening, because I'm fishing on the back of the weed, I think the fish are coming through in mid-water, and that's where they're picking my line.
How are you,
hey,
mate? You alright?
Good. How are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you keeping?
Yeah, mate, we're good. We're just doing like a end of day thing, just talking about what's been going on in my swim. Like,
yeah.
Most of the fish are in the bay, the back bay, as we discussed earlier, but we're seeing 1 or 2 fish come through, so I'm like, fingers crossed. I mean, like, you know, I mean, you said
it looked pretty good this morning, though, didn't it, to be fair?
Mate,
like, even around this area where you are now,
yeah,
and even my area down the bottom as well, it did look really good for a bite. But then, I don't know, that hot temperature sort of come in, and then it kind of fizzled it off a little bit, but it's looking it's starting to look good again for it now, especially with the sun going down. Is a bit more cooler, so
there was definitely more fizzing this morning. I'm not making excuses for not getting a bite, but there was definitely more fizzing down in that weed. And like when that sun come up, they kind of just sat up in the layers a bit. So I wasn't going to risk a zig rig or anything like that on them, because I don't think I'd get them through on light lines.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. It's pretty weedy here.
Yeah,
like I've got my rods out in the centre sort of area.
Yeah.
2 helicopter systems, one on like a stiff hinge, and then one on like a blowback.
Yeah.
With quite a big bed of bait as well, so I'm hoping that they'll move on to that now in the night as well. So
is that more like known as a night spot down in that area then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's one of the sort of deeper sort of ends of the north side of the lake.
Nice.
It's probably in around like 6 foot, maybe 7 foot.
We're expecting a call then.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, mate. Anyway.
Sweet. Actually, we've been having a debate. What's that?
Right, well, if you put chips in it, in Wales, that would be a chip butty. But if you was just to say, like, what is that, then I would probably say roll. I would, personally.
See, I told you. It's a roll, mate. North and south divide, it's a roll.
Is that the difference between us?
Yeah, that's the difference between up north and down south.
So we just went off to our bivvies, and it wasn't long after that. Well, Ryan, you said you was going to get one off that long rod, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely, mate. They was showing out there, and it was looking good for it.
Nice one, yeah. Well done, pal. So that's the first Welsh carp I've ever seen, but it's not on my rod, so it's well, it's 2-1 on the Baps and 1-0 on the carp front now. So I'm not doing too good on that.
1-0 to Wales.
Yeah. That way you don't say that very often, do you, pal? So we'll hear that. So yeah, nice
Happy
one.
days.
Yeah, awesome start. Well done, pal. Okay, so the situation is, just wind this rod in. So nothing happened for me through the night. Obviously Ryan had that bite on the right hand side, but this morning there was liners as the fish pushed out, which they was obviously doing, and they've gone down that channel, and I've just walked into the south area and there is literally half the stock in the outer bounds and half the stock in the big pacture weed on the other side. Both pretty much unfishable for, but there is a little option. There's another channel that runs down the other side of the castle behind Ryan's swim, and if I wade down there I can get a rod just on the edge of where the fish are showing in that weed. It's a bit of a long shot if I'm honest, but I'm at Last Chance Saloon and I don't like to give up, so I'm a bit tired because I've just done 2 laps of the castle, but it'll give me a chance, and you know, the more chances you create, the better options you have. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a couple of rods up there, walk them down, see if I can find a clear spot where the birds can't get to the bait, and we're going to try and nick one. I think that's where we're at now. It's a mint spot. It is a spot, but it's 3 foot and there's swans just waiting for me to walk back. I can't risk it. There's like tourists and all sorts. There is fish up there as well. That's what's so frustrating. It is what it is. I can't risk it. It's too tight. If I pick a swan up, it's going to look appalling, isn't it? And I don't want to pick a swan up. But the fish are there. Not on the spot, but close enough to leave one there for the afternoon kind of thing. But right, it's plan D. No, plan E. Right, so I've actually done 2 laps of this castle now, and yeah, there is no opportunity to get on fish from what I can see. I've walked all down this wall here, I've walked around the back, I've been down the south side, I've stood in the middle, the centre of it, and I'm seeing fish, but what is concerning, I'm not seeing feeding fish. The ones that are there, they're in the outer bounds where they know they're safe, and you know, they're just cruising around on the top. So as an angler, I'm thinking now the only thing I can do is prepare for the night, and you know, I keep saying it, but if they're pushing again, that's where my next chance is. It's going to be evening or through the night. Now last night, the long rod that I did for my first night, that did liner, so I was kind of like semi-confident with that rod, but maybe 60 yards round to the right of the swim, I saw 2 shows, but it was right on dark and it was very difficult for me to tell exactly where they were. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my rods like now, see if I can find a spot out there and get some bait on it, get my line marked and clipped up, so if I see anything out there I can attack it. And yeah, I'm at Last Chance Saloon if I'm honest, but I'm doing it like everything I can as an angler to try and just nick a bite and not go home fishless. So let's see if we can find a spot. Well, that's the line that those fish was on. There was a fish to the left and to the right. I could see that gap. It was too dark to see the range of the fish. Okay, so that's come up at 6.5 foot, so it's a little bit deeper than where I've been fishing, and it's a spot where fish were showing last night, or certainly 2 fish showed. So that's about all I've got to go on, so I'm going to put some bait on there, get it prepped up, get it ready, so if the fish come through tonight and they do attack that spot, it's clear, there's no weed there, and I'm getting a decent drop on it, so maybe it's a feeding area, I don't know, but it's all I've got to go on, so I'm going to put some bait on there, set some traps for tonight. So I'm going to put a fair bit of bait on here. I'm going to try and draw some fish onto this spot. If they do come through me, I want them to get their heads down on this spot. So I've gone with a mixture of pellet and boiler really. I've got the S7 in 8mm, so the small S7s, and I've got the Crayfish Mini and Maxi Mix in there. Real oily mixture of small baits. And over the top of that, I'm going to have 2 S7 15mm pop-ups. So really bold, right in the middle of the mix, and hopefully, fingers crossed, one of them picks me up. Well, we was talking last night thinking, am I going to get a bite? Is it going to happen? It's the final night, and I was 50-50. We did see 1 or 2 fish moving in, and yeah, we had torrential rain all night. It was horrific. And at first light, one of them long rods that you saw me setting up paid dividends. So this is my first Welsh carp, and for all my efforts that I've done while we've been here at the castle, finally a chance has happened and I've got myself a fish. And not long after this, I had my second Welsh carp. So I was just redoing the rod, and the other rod that was on that spot fired off. So I am super happy. This is a first for me, and I think the other fish is a little bit bigger. So we'll get this one popped back and we'll show you the other fish. So let me introduce to you my second Welsh carp, about quarter of an hour after the first one. Yeah, I mean, it's just been one of them trips. Really special place.
Yes, mate, what a lovely fish that is.
It comes good in the end, bud, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Lovely dark colours on it as well.
Yeah, thanks to a little bit of good advice from you to put them rods long, we finally got into a couple of fish. So yeah, it's been a really good couple of days, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've had a good laugh, to be fair. We've had a few fish as well, so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and thanks to yourself and thanks to the Angling Club for giving us permission to come down here.
No, it was a pleasure, mate, having you down, definitely.
Yeah. We'll never fish anywhere like this one again, I'm pretty sure about that.
Oh, there's nowhere else like it in the world.
No, absolutely, mate, it's been fabulous. But, sorry, but I have to say, I think that could be 2-1.
Maybe the English can't catch carp then.
Awesome, well, we'll get this fish pot back. We'll pack the gear down and we'll hit the road. Yeah, what a fabulous...
Nice 4-hour journey for you as well.
Mate, yeah, just a bit. So yeah, what a fabulous couple of days fishing.
Well, just as we was parking up, the right-hand rod just screamed off, and I've got an equaliser. But I'm taking the trophy home because a bigger average weight, so happy days. He thought he could beat me on the Welsh turf. No chance.
96-minute equaliser.
Yeah.
My rods are still out, although my barrow's loaded, so I'm going to have to take it. He's back in the game. We're going to have a rematch, dude, aren't we?
Yeah.
No, well done,
will
pal.
always win, man.
Well done, pal. That's a really, really nice common, isn't it? Real dark
lovely
one.
Colours on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, well done, pal.